Welcome to the June 28th, 6:15 open session meeting of the Ayer Affordable Housing Trust. And yes, Cindy, I did check to see when the next meeting was. I get to read the governor's message due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. In accordance with Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, public bodies otherwise governed by the OML are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations, through adequate alternative means. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by joining Zoom meeting ID 818-0509-7403 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Alicia Hersey at ahersey@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220 extension 142 prior to the meeting. May we have a motion to approve the agenda? Sean, I think you're talking, but I can't hear you.
So moved.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
I will second, but I want to tell you, Jeff, that I'm on an internet connection, but it's going in and out. So if I drop, I just want you to know it's not intentional. I'll do the best I can to stay on, but it's really bad.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Please, if you do get dropped, if you do get dropped, please come back so we can continue the meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. I will try to get back by cell phone if the computer drops. I just want you to
Okay, thank you.
know it wasn't unintentional. Okay.
So Pat, do you vote to approve the agenda?
I do.
Thank you. Cindy?
Are you there? Oh, okay. You heard me.
Sean?
Aye.
Chair vote. Thank you. Chair votes aye. Fantastic. Next, we have to move the meeting minutes for February 8th, 23.
I didn't see any changes. Nobody else has. I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from February 8th, 2023.
Thank you.
I will.
So I'll second.
So we have a move and a second. Any further discussion?
Aye.
Okay, Pat votes aye. Cindy, how do you vote? I lost you, Cindy.
Aye.
Yeah, Sean?
Aye.
And Jeff votes aye. Cindy, for some reason, your voice, you're.
It's unsettled weather.
Yep, okay. And can we have a motion to approve the April 26th, 2023 meeting minutes, please?
So moved.
I'll second. Any changes?
No.
Not hearing any. Pat, how do you
Jeff,
vote?
if it makes you feel better, I'm hearing syllables, not words.
Pat, how do you vote?
I'm going to say aye. I'm going in and out. I can hardly hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm going to try dialing in on the phone. It's got to be better.
Okay. Cindy?
Sorry. I am so sorry. I don't know what else to do.
Aye.
Thank you. Sean?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Next on our agenda is board elections, but we don't have a good platform to hold elections right now, I have a feeling. We're missing a few board members and Pat's popping in and out. So I'd like to suggest we move on to the update on the trust financials agenda item, which is the audit requirement. And Alicia, I think you've been working on this. Please unmute, Alicia.
We've been working with Barbara and I have been working with the town auditor and reviewing. So I have the trust financials on that I've been putting out. Remember last year we got 30,000 for the trust and we're just distributing the last amount of that 30,000 in August. Okay. I do show the interest that we're getting. It's in a Main Street Bank account. It is in an account overseen by the treasurer. And it was just the 30,000. Now,
Pat, could you please turn off the sound on your computer?
I don't even have the computer on, Jeff. I don't know what's happening. It
I'm
totally
going to
shut
remove
down.
Pat 1 from
Thank
the
you.
meeting.
Thank you, Cindy.
Sorry.
you removed Pat 2.
She'll call back in.
They're both gone. I didn't do that.
Let's give her a moment, please.
Oh, technology. It's great when it works. Here she is.
Welcome back, Pat. Cindy, could you unmute Pat, please?
I can ask her to unmute herself.
Okay, thank you. There we go.
There we
Hi,
go.
Pat.
Hello. Sorry to be a
Okay,
pain
no-
in the neck. I'm trying.
Nobody touch any buttons now, okay?
Nothing.
Okay, so Alicia was just giving us an update on the audit. And I just got a message saying the internet is unstable, guys. I don't think it's just Pat.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we've had some serious storms, some hard storms. So let's do our best. And Colleen is having difficulty connecting. So I think it's rampant. But Alicia, why don't you continue, please?
So the accountant, the town accountant said that for their firm and a single audit would be $3,000. Well, $3,000 of $30,000 is 10% of your income. We don't have it in-house. We would have to ask for it from and there's only 5 checks a month that on the $30,000 that was written, it seems pretty basic. It's a checking account that has 30,000 in it and gets interest every month. And we distribute 5 checks on that. Now this year we have 60,000 because we have 10 families. And so we do have some of the 30,000 and some of the 60,000 in there. What Barbara and I were talking about was the possibility of us going to, this is just a proposal for you guys, this is your decision, going to town meeting and amending that. The cheapest I've ever gotten a single audit for is $2,000, but that was 6 years ago. Okay. And that's just an individual audit of, for an organization such as ours. This was for IDFA. What Barbara and I were talking about was the possibility of amending your bylaws to state that once you reach a certain threshold of income or money, it triggers an audit. But other than that, you would be part of the town audit, which you already are part of the town audit. Our account gets audited every year through the town. Okay. That's something you guys can think about. If we need to do that, we need to do it this fall.
Do you have, Alicia, do you have just from best practice, a recommendation on what that amount would be? Like say once we reach 120,000 or 150,000?
I would actually come up with some wording on it, or I would go out and ask possibly for accountants or trusts and things. I think there's a couple things. When we're getting money from CPC, and that's the only money we're getting, and it's money that we're spending every year, and then that's pretty, so the CPC account is audited by the town's trust account is audited by the town, all the books are kept in-house and they get audited. Okay. When we're holding more than CPC money, say we go, or we get a big chunk of like $500,000 from CPC, then, or somebody, we get money in lieu of payments for affordable units or something like that, then we definitely should start doing audits. But we also have to find some money for doing housekeeping. You're getting my fee, what I do for the trust is part of my job at the town hall, but we don't have any budget for administration in the trust. So we would need administration budget to do audits and things. So
Thank
we'd
you.
have to figure out
Yeah.
where to get that.
And I'm going to muddy the waters just a little bit more, because I think it was foreseen that possibly the housing trust would actually own, at some point, would own buildings and own real estate and own real assets that are part of housing here in town. There's a possibility for that. I don't know if that's true or not. So it's a bit of a quandary. And one of the, first of all, thank you, Alicia, for taking the time and talking to Barbara. We're going to have to figure out how to be square with our bylaw. And I don't know if there's a way through it right now. And I'd be curious what other towns have done around this issue. And so, because when I hear independent audit, I think of, buying and selling of real assets and tracking the money through that exterior bank accounts. We currently are assisting families who live here in town. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if it would be more or less complex than that. So I think, Alicia, you were going to say something a second ago when I said.
Well, there's another piece. So we set up, this trust was set up by the housing committee, and this is how they set it up. But there is always the question about how the trust, what the town wants out of the trust. And I would never recommend, you are part of the town. This trust the committee is part of the town. It's part of the town bylaw. If you want an independent trust that's not part of the town bylaw, then I would not own owning property is one thing. Owning rental units is another. I would not recommend that. I would recommend that you be an independent trust at that point if you're going to own units and have, because it puts the town too much at risk. You have to, mm-hmm. You're required to follow all state laws for towns at that mm-hmm. point. Okay, owning property, real estate isn't that. And that's what I say, if we end up with property and we want to go out for an RFP to have it developed, we would give the person either, we would sell them the property or we would lease it to them, but we wouldn't be the person, holding or running it. Mm-hmm. Because we shouldn't be a landlord. The town should not be a landlord, mm-hmm. in my opinion.
No, I think you're right. That's what the housing authority is for, right?
Yes, that's what the housing authority is for. And you can have, you can work with the housing authority. You just don't want to put, I think that if we went to legal counsel and things like that, they would talk all about that. And so and that's what the accountant did say. He said, well, it depends on how your trust is set up. Is it part of the town or is it independent? And oftentimes they do set them up independent so that they can own property. Or mm-hmm. Buildings. Owning real estate is not as big a deal because the town owns real estate. That's a different sort of thing. So I was just thinking that at this point, it's not something we're going to decide right now, but mm-hmm. When we're only having so much money come through the trust, I do think we should look at a threshold, and I appreciate your question, Cindy. I don't know if it would be 300,000. Or maybe I need to do more work on that. And
okay,
maybe it's so many transactions or so much money coming in, or maybe what we say is, as long as the money's coming from CPC, we don't have to do an audit because CPC money is being audited in the town. Trust money is being audited in the town. It's all a closed system.
Thank you. Does anybody yes, Cindy, please.
So
You're saying that the Air Affordable Housing Trust, as we are right now, we are a part of the town.
Yes.
And all these other aspects are already being audited. So
Mhm.
there, no need for an audit. Okay,
But it is required by our bylaw.
okay, so you're talking about either rewriting the bylaw to drop that or to add the threshold or to add the idea that when additional money comes in or rentals or, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get it straight for the minutes. I kind of lost you in the middle of all of that.
Hey, I'm going to suggest I don't know that we're going to get to a conclusion, Cindy.
So can I just say?
Yeah, go ahead,
so
Alicia.
That Alicia reported that an audit would cost $3,000 according to our town accountant. And we are required to have an audit right now by our bylaw. And the committee should be, or the trust should be talking about whether they wanted to go forward with that or not. How's that?
Can
And
I ask
may
a
ask-
question? I'm sorry, Jeff.
Go ahead, Pat, please.
Can I just ask, is it something that we should not do? Is it going to look suspicious that, and I'm throwing this out from an ex-federal employee. Is it going to look suspicious if we say not right now? Are we trying to hide something? I guess that's my question. I'm sorry. I just have to ask out loud.
I think an audit's an important thing at certain levels. I think an audit, paying somebody $3,000 to audit $30,000 or $60,000 is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Can we ask for a different auditor? Can we ask for someone local? Maybe Dave Alexander or
Dave Alexander costs $2,000.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, sorry, I didn't know.
the answer is, this is a ridiculous thing to pay at this point.
I agree.
It's a closed system. Everything within it is already being audited. I think an audit is extremely important once you either reach that threshold, whatever the town would recommend, or when money starts coming in from multiple sources, then it's extremely important to have an audit. And I didn't know they were that expensive, but that's what it'll be. But when we're talking about $30,000 from one source, which is a town source, which is already audited, no, it's not going to look like well, if it looks like we're trying to hide something, and that's somebody looking for malfeasance. That's it. No.
So there's one more suggestion. I think Pauline was correct on this, is that I should have done a financial report before we did our town report and given it to you guys to review. And that would just be the books for the year and what went in, what went out, and how much interest we got.
Okay.
And I can certainly make that up. I was going to make it up for tonight, but I don't know the format that I want to do that. And I'm going to actually talk to Barbara and get her, I don't do P&Ls.
Yeah.
Is that what it is, a P&L? No.
Well, whatever format Barbara would suggest, but Pauline, you have your hand up. Would you like to contribute?
Jeff, yes, I would. Thank you for recognizing me while the committee is discussing. I'm happy to wait if you prefer.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, well, I created this quagmire, so first I apologize. I think both you, Jeff, and Alicia have made excellent suggestions. Barbara is going to do an audit. I think it has to be done by the 17th of July, once the books are closed, or after 17th of July. I asked about this. The simple audit that the treasurer will do should more than suffice. If there's another person in this town that asks anything about this, I'll be terribly surprised or completely surprised. But I think, as Alicia just said, you just need some kind of an accounting. CPC money here, money expended there, interest here. Just a simple statement so you comply with the tenor of the bylaw. An independent audit, maybe it's just the word independent that needs to go, rather than rewrite the whole bylaw about audits, but audits will be necessary. And Jeff, you suggested looking at what other towns do. I wholly agree. That's what we did to create this trust in the first place. And I think because we're in our infancy with this, you don't need to spend 3,000, 2,000, 10,000, whatever it's going to take. And I'm sure there's an accountant or two out in this town that would do it for free as a donation to the Affordable Trust. So those are my thoughts. Just do a little paper, Alicia, or have Barbara do a paper outlining the assets and the revenues and the expenses, and you have a file. And that, I think, will comply for the time being. That's my thoughts, and I really am sorry I created this
Pauline,
quagmire
thank you.
for you.
Yeah, thanks. You're breaking up a little bit, but thank you very much, Pauline. And something else I think the trust needs to look at, and that is as we go forward, first of all, we do the internal audit. The town's books are audited, and then the town's books are sent to the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth certifies our books. So it actually goes through, they don't look, it goes through it goes through a process that actually has 3 steps in it, because we don't get our free cash figured out until the Commonwealth certifies that we did the right thing. So malfeasance being one thing, we still have the letter of the bylaw we have to comply with. And there are a couple things we could do that I'm aware of, and maybe we could get some input from, I hate to go to KP Law for this, but maybe we need to, either we change the wording of the bylaw, or we increase our budget next year to include the cost of an audit. And that's something to think about. Cindy, I can read your mind. I agree, but we're in a position where we have to comply. It was voted by the town. So with that being said, I'd like to have a conversation with the town manager's office about that. Alicia, I'm happy to take the lead on that.
I'd love that.
Okay. And Pauline, I do recognize we have a quagmire. And I do recognize also that in our interest of getting this thing off the ground and helping people, we missed something. It's perfectly human. And I apologize that happened.
Mr. Chair, I don't take any offense by the fact that the group missed it. Bylaws are tedious things to read. I didn't mean to create this horrible mess that you all are in. And I really do believe that a simple statement outlining the expenses from 2022 will comply. And as far as rewriting the bylaw, take the time to research that. I don't know where we got.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I think the word independent will solve all your problems if you can revise the bylaw to take that out. An internal audit for $30,000 is all we need.
And
thank you.
That's actually, I think you might be right. And I think, Jeff, if you could bring that up to KP Law. And I have to say that the committee looked at this at the time, and because I'd gone through if you remember, Lisa Capri, we had so many discussions about whether the IDFA needed an independent audit or not. She felt it didn't. She felt that the town's audit, but maybe the wording around who has to do the audit is really the key.
Yep. No, thank you. Appreciate it. Any further input on this issue at this point? And Cindy, why don't you, the minutes would reflect that I'll speak to the town manager. Thank you. I would hate to increase our budget by 10%. That 10% is half of a family's annual help.
Yep.
That's a heating system, guys. That's a big pinch on helping people out. So thank you very much. Next on our list was we have discussion of CPC funding. And I got to be honest with you, I've forgotten where we left this off.
Janet wanted people to consider asking for a big chunk to go into the trust.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a discussion that's been going on. There's 2 aspects to this that we need to talk about. Are we going to stay at 10 families? Do we need to ask for more than 10 families? And Janet wanted us to consider putting money there in the trust to buy property to move forward on creating more units.
So, Alicia, I guess the first part of your question there about staying at 10 families or not, what are you seeing as the need? And then also, what do you feel is, if we were to increase it, would you be able to manage?
I think I would probably ask or recommend that we stay at 10 families for a year. We had a number of people drop out, a number of the really needy people, but they couldn't qualify under our restrictions, okay? Either their landlord, their unit wasn't official, or their landlord, their lease wasn't in order, things like that. And there was 2 families that didn't qualify, but they were actually they were up closer to, they were over 50%. They were closer to 50% AMI. And 50% AMI isn't destitute. And there's a lot of programs out there for people, fuel assistance. I even found out just yesterday, because Dan reached out to me, I thought there's fuel assistance, there's electricity assistance, there's even assistance to help you pay your water bills from the state. Okay, so there's a lot of programs out there, and I'd rather see us creating more units personally to get the people who can't afford to be in a unit or can't afford to, more units at an affordable price. But I'm not adverse if I see more need. And we could even go up 2 more families if you want. Go to 12, because we only didn't pay for 2 people. So that's something, instead of going up 5 each time, if you wanted to increase, maybe increase by a smaller number this time.
Sure.
Mhm.
That sounds like a good idea.
And Colleen is here now. I forgot the timing. If we're going to increase the ask, do we have to have it done by August 1st or September 1st, Colleen, for CPC, the whole hearing?
So working backwards, if town meeting is in October, and if I'm recalling correctly, the warrants have to be in by the 1st of October,
Roughly,
somewhere
it's
around
roughly,
there,
yeah,
which
roughly, yeah.
means a public hearing has to be held in September, which means CPC has to approve it to move to a public hearing in August, which means it has to be to them by August at the latest.
Which puts the onus on us to have a meeting in July if we can't decide this evening.
Right.
Okay.
And to vote to approve, to have an, application that we vote to approve to bring to CPC.
We'd have to do that in July. Mhm.
We would, because CPC usually meets, they're meeting tonight because we had a significant scheduling issue the first week of June, and next week's 4th of July, which would have been our July meeting. So we're kind of combining into one, but we usually meet the first week of August.
So, okay. Yes, Sean, go ahead, please.
So I'm just thinking, for this next round of funding, do we have to re-ask for the 10 that we're already funding, or are we like halfway through the cycle? I completely forget.
This would be funding for our cycle starts around May 1st, okay? But we have to have the funding in place.
Right. Okay. So we would be, if we were to ask in October and we want to say increase by 2, so we're going to ask for funding for 12 people. And then, Colleen, the finances of CPC, would it be unreasonable to ask for, like, say, $100,000 to start building a fund for purchasing?
I don't think so. I don't have the numbers at the top of my head, but I think there is money in that affordable housing pool. I can certainly, we're meeting right after this meeting. I can throw that, if we agree that that's the number we want to ask for get this temperature of the room so that when we, if we need to meet in July to approve, finally we'll know what number what they're comfortable with. But I think that would be a decent starting place.
Yeah. And Sean, I would put out that if we're going to increase to 12 families, that becomes from 60,000 to 72,000, 6,000 per family per year. So it'd be a minimum ask of 72,000. And that might help Colleen in the thinking. Okay. It sounds to me, if we go to 12 families, our minimum ask is probably going to be 72,000. And if we have to do an audit, I don't know if we can spend CPC funds on an audit. That's another question I have, because can we spend money from CPC on administering the housing trust? We may actually have to get a line item somewhere else in the budget to cover for that. And that's another part of the conversation to have. I'm more than willing to have with the town manager. So,
and Jeff, would you like me to also ask that question at CPC tonight to see if Janet knows?
I would ask, believe it or not, I am going from this meeting into another meeting. Like you tonight, Colleen, I'm jammed in pretty tight, so I can't join the CPC. I would ask if you could do it. Otherwise, I can get in touch with Janet during the day.
Yeah, no, I'll ask during the meeting, and then if
I appreciate that.
Questions, I'll let you know how it goes after the meeting.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we couldn't spend it on that. But that's, no, but CPC they do have like an administrative budget line. And I don't know if that can cover, things like that for projects they've funded or not. I just don't know the answer. So I'll ask. Exactly. And that's why I'm asking the question as carefully as I am, because they have to administer the CPC, not the funds they set up for other things. So we gotta stay in our lane, basically, is what it comes down to. And we're going through the budget process again. We'll find a way. We need to find a way. Any other further on the discussion for CPC funding? And I think Cindy
I guess going back to Sean, were you thinking then 100,000 on top of the 72,000?
Yes. Yeah. I was thinking the 172, at least 172, so that we can start building that reserve. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
I know 100,000 doesn't go far these days with property, but at least we get a start.
It's not even a tiny home anymore.
So
okay,
that the working group is working on, and I talked to Janet on it. We've got a working group going forward, and the discussion on, we wanted to have the trust and this kind of relates to this, the trust and the committee actually maybe do a public hearing or a forum, a think tank sort of thing, to get a sense of what they would like us to be doing. Do they want us building apartments? What do they want us building? What kind of units do they want? What do they want to see here? I know they want to see affordable housing. I know they want to see, but what do they want that to look at like? And that might actually help us back into the number that we want to ask from CPC for, if we know what we're thinking about what we want to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Would we have that information by the end of July to put forth a proposal, or should we stick with this as a starting point and then go back later for money if what the town is looking for
comes together better?
It comes together better. Yes.
I don't know. I was just proposing that we need to keep talking about this. We need to keep talking about where we're going, what we want to get done, that sort of thing.
Right. And I think that having even, getting that scheduled, sooner in the fall rather than later, so that the town knows when we're asking for the money that these are conversations. This is not just money we're putting aside in hopes that maybe someday there'll be a plan, but that we're actually having conversations to work towards how that money could be used.
Yep. And so I'm going to try and tie it up. Colleen, you'll speak with you'll find out at CPC tonight if 172 is an outrageous number, but but maybe lay the groundwork for at least 72,000 for rental assistance for next year, which will grow us to 12 families.
Yep.
And then in our next meeting, we will have we'll get the application done again. I actually have last application still in front of it. I still have it. So we'll update the application and put that on the agenda, please, Alicia, for the next meeting. And that is, we'll confirm the amount and put together the application for the ask.
Right.
And we'll get that accomplished hopefully before the end of July.
Yeah,
Fair enough, everybody?
I can send out an update to the committee to the trust after tonight's meeting to kind of let
Perfect.
you know what CPC says. And then if, it's way too much, then we'll have more discussion on it when we meet in July.
Okay.
If not, we can just write the proposal with that number in mind. And
Fantastic. Thank you. That'll be very helpful. And I'll remind everybody that when you get the email from Colleen, we can't discuss it by email. It's for information only. Thank you. I'm going to tie a bow around the CPC funding, mostly because we're going to start running short on time. Public comment is our next on the agenda. Do we have anybody here for public comment tonight that we haven't already covered? Seeing none. We have new and old business on the agenda. And I think this is the last time we're going to see this actual agenda item. It's been requested that we stop having generics like that on our agendas. So it's kind of a new world, if you will. But does anybody have anything they want to bring up under a new or old business? Any questions about stuff we're working on? Go ahead, Alicia. Yeah. Or comments?
So, because we have you here, Jeff, and the planning board. So we're in the process the planning board is in the process of reviewing the project for West Main Street, which is going to have about 25 moderate income units in it. And I went to a class when we went to the Housing Institute. Cindy and I were both there, and that talked about how you get those regulated. And I've sent out a note to Jonathan Krantz at the planning board, but how we feel as a committee about those 25 units, what we would like to see them. Right now, they're moderate, 80% AMI, that we will put together regulations on that. There's a lot of work to be done on just figuring out. The state does have good guidelines on that, but that group is also, so that will be at the planning board on the 11th. And one of the things that the state's asked us to do or consider, asked anybody these are called LIP units or LAU units, local action units. They come under one of those two titles. And they recommended that the planning board require that the unit regulations and the marketing plan be in place with the state prior to a building permit being issued. Because else it's hard to get it.
Say that again.
Filter, I'm sorry, can I just add something?
No, please, wait.
Okay. Yep.
Michelle, say what you just said.
Okay, the state recommended that in a rental LIP unit be required to have its deeded regulations and marketing plan approved by the state prior to the building permit being issued, unless otherwise agreed upon.
Thank you.
May I ask excuse me, Pat, when you say the LIU units, local initiative, in other words, these would be people who are local would be given preference? Is that what that translates into, Alicia?
No, it means that local zoning
Got it.
generated these units.
Yes, because these are inclusionary units. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure because I do end up in conversations with people who say, well, you're building 100 units, but it's not guaranteed for Ayer residents, for
But when
instance.
the planning board is reviewing the site plan on this,
Mhm.
those are things that they can say, we want 50% local residents to have preference on, and that's part of what you will negotiate when you negotiate a fair marketing plan. So a fair marketing plan, Pat, you might have, and this says that they have to make sure they let everybody know out there that these units are available, so they're not sent to just one person that's somebody's family member or something like that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Alicia, it's like you were reading my mind. You read scribble. I'm so proud of you. But seriously, no, because I see so many landlords who go, well, it says this, but I can actually do that. And so I
Yes.
would want it to be focused on townsfolk. I can't tell you how many people in town are calling me about units. And, I hate to say it, I can't grow them.
Yeah.
And it's very
Well-
sad. And it breaks my heart to see some of these folks and they go, well, I'm going to live in my car. And I'm thinking, okay, my garage is kind of stuffed, but I might be able to fit you. I just feel badly. And so I think it would be a great thing if they had to abide by the guidelines, however it works out, whatever we set forth.
Alicia, you said, so there's 25 units that are moderate income. Are there
Mhm.
any required to be low income that are below the 50%?
Not for the for-profit, but this for-profit, that's something that can be negotiated through the planning board site plan review as well. This is part of the site plan. The inclusionary zoning, and this is the first time we've had inclusionary zoning units coming up in front of the planning board. So it's going to be interesting, and we're learning how to do this. And the other thing this developer is asking for is they're asking for a TIF, relief in taxes. And we've never given TIFs for rental or for real estate, for housing. And so that's something the town will have to make a decision on. And this is a very much a for-profit developer.
Yeah.
If you wanted lower income units, you could possibly negotiate that. Alan was asking me this, and I have to tell you, I don't know how to work with, I have some for-profit landlords that are just wonderful, and I wouldn't have any problem at all working with them to get lower income units because they do it just naturally on their own. They really are very compassionate people. This is a big corporation, and I don't know how you work with a big corporation on something like that. So I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah, and if I may, I don't have a crystal ball. As you know, I sit on the planning board, but the planning board hasn't seen anything yet. The only thing we've seen is if we spent time watching the zoning board of appeals when they came to the ZBA for the waivers they wanted on height and width of the building. And at the time they were talking, they haven't set a number of units yet. They haven't set the number of 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. They haven't even said that yet to us as what it's going to be because we haven't seen the plans or the site plan. I don't think it's been dropped off at the town hall. We're expecting it very soon.
No, it has been. There's one in
Okay.
my office.
It may have come in the last couple of days,
Yeah.
but
How
yeah.
many units is it total? The plan?
I don't know if it's unit plans. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know. I actually haven't looked at it deeply. I've just looked at the front. But they're talking 170 units.
Okay. So I would just ask Jeff, and I don't know if it's appropriate here or not, but like as a member of the trust, that the negotiating of low income housing also be part of whatever the planning board negotiates with this developer, especially if they're looking for a TIF.
Sean, your request is not falling on deaf ears. And the way our inclusionary zoning works is every 5th unit gets us a unit. So if there's 25 units, 125. I was working with, in my mind, I thought it was closer to 30 units in the 28 to 34 range. But again, it's how they configure the building. For zoning board of appeals, they don't need to do a plan. They need to do an elevation. And that's all they did. That's all they came with. So thank you, Alicia. And I'm going to dig in. I'm going to get my copy of those plans as soon as I can. So, anything else, new or old? Yes, Cindy.
Sorry, first we were talking about 25 units and then all of a sudden we were talking about 125 units. How did that happen? What?
The inclusion, let me explain inclusionary zoning, and I'm doing it off the top of my head.
Mhm.
When you build 5 units, the 6th unit, it becomes affordable. So it's a
Gotcha.
mathematical
Okay.
formula.
Thank you.
And I
Thank you.
believe it's build 5, get 1, not
Yep,
build
no,
4,
it's
get
fine.
1.
That's fine.
It's build 5, get 1, and they get 2 bonus units. So it's really 1 and 7. Now, this is a tough one, Jeff, because it's
But-
discretionary whether they get this extra 2, but this is form-based code.
Yep.
Usually the planning board would have the say over this, and this is,
So Alicia, yes, I recognize that A, it's form-based code, B, there are bonus units in there. And C, I don't know how it's going to play out. So Cindy, I went the simple route. Typically inclusionary zoning is you build a number, you have to give 1, you have to create an affordable. And that's usually 5 gives you 1.
No, I got it.
Yeah, because they can do solar. There's a lot of things they can do over there that will get them more bonus units. So we're going to leave that aside for now, Alicia. Is that okay?
that's perfect.
And that's why I think the number is closer to 35, but we'll let it go. Okay.
That'd be great.
It depends on how you slice the pie, honestly. And how favorable they are when they come for site plan review. Good question, Cindy. Not an easy answer. Anything else in the way of new old business? I'm watching the clock carefully because I want to give, okay. Upcoming meetings. We got to have to meet in July. How's the 4th Wednesday working for people? July 26th.
I can do that.
It will not work for me. I'm going to be on vacation.
Okay.
I'm on vacation the last 2 weeks in July. The 4th week, internet's terrible. So
Mhm.
like if I knew I had internet access, I would agree to sign on, but I just know from previous years, it's terrible. So I probably
Okay.
can't join.
Mhm.
Sorry, but you can do without me. And if I can try to sign on, I will, but.
Can you come by phone only?
Potentially. It's a
Okay.
really old building by the beach, and it's like cell signal isn't great either, but I'll do my best.
Well, I was going to say we have the 19th and the 26th. Either the 19th or the 26th would work for me. Anybody else have issue with the 19th?
I do not.
Okay.
Not at the moment.
I'm sorry, Pat.
I said, not at the moment, I don't.
Let's put a stake in the ground. Let's do the 19th. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, much more likely. I'll still be
I
on
appreciate it,
vacation, but
Colleen.
I'll be in better
Yeah.
internet zone.
So we'll put together the agenda for the 19th. Is 6:15 good for people?
works for me.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you. And I'll get the word out to James and going to track Jake down. Okay.
Is
I'll
he
make sure
back?
you all.
Is Jake back?
We've heard a rumor, Colleen. We were discussing that before you joined us. We've heard a rumor that he is back. And we also pushed off board elections this evening because we didn't have a full quorum or as close to quorum as we could get. Just to fill you in on what happened earlier. Okay,
Sounds good. Thanks.
great. With that, thank you for doing that, guys. I want to wish you all a wonderful weekend. Stay dry. Boy, we needed rain. Who knew? Huh? I was outside yesterday, came in, looked at my weather gauge, went outside. The other day it poured, came back in, we got a 1/4 inch in 9 minutes in my yard. The yard was literally, huh?
It's crazy. I had
Yeah.
a customer come in today and he said to me, does it rain here every day? And
Yeah.
I said, well, not usually. And he said, well, until it snows. I said, well, okay, you got something there. Like, it's just crazy. And then they
Yeah.
go, there's a water ban. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? We have water running down the street. There's a water ban.
Well, they're not
God bless.
absolutely related. Cindy, you were trying to say something?
Yes, I move that we adjourn.
Bless you.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
We got a second from Sean. Aye. Okay. Have a great night, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.